Hey YouTube world, what's going on? I am Mark, this is TST Industries, and we are back in the garage today for yet another installation video. As you can see behind me, we have this gorgeous Yamaha MT-09. This is the third generation model from Yamaha. This is a 2021 SP model, but the installation process that we are about to dive into will be the same for the non-SP model, so please keep that in mind. Now, what are we doing today? Well, I'm going to guide you and show you how to install our LED front pod turn signals. It's important to note that we do sell these a la carte on our website, so if you only want signals, you can purchase them. However, please read the product pages and understand what you are purchasing, because we do sell a front pod turn signal bundle, which will include signals of your choice, the mounting adapter plates that you will need, and the plug and play harness converters that are verified in the North American market. It's also important to note, because we are in North America, this installation process is verified in North America. I believe the process will be the same across the world. However, the electrical connectors may be different in different parts of the world, so please keep that in mind. And one last thing to note, all of our front signals, with the exception of our Mech GTR front turn signals, are only a 2-wire system. This means they turn on and they turn off. They do not have a running light function. If that is something you would like on your front signals and you're using these or our flush mounts, we do have a product called our TST Running Mate, so be sure to check that out on our website as well. If you want to introduce a running light circuit and function onto your front turn signals, you can do so with a plug and play product that is verified in the North American market. This installation process is pretty straightforward, and actually this is the new process from Yamaha. They're standardizing this on all of their newer models with these LED front turn signals. So this process, although the bolts and such may be a little different and the signal shroud may be different, the overall mounting process will be the same as on the MT-07, the 2021 model. So please keep that in mind. You can actually follow this process within reasons to install these on any new Yamaha model you may have that has LED front turn signals and this new gasket feature that they have to mount the signals to the bike. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So to begin this installation process, we are going to start with removing this front signal cover. This is mounted on the actual signal shroud where the signal is mounted. So we need to remove this front cover in order to access the electrical connector to disconnect the front signals. It's important to note that we do have our Womatech Evos frame sliders on here. They do use a 2-point system. Any frame sliders on this bike that are installed on this front engine bolt will kind of get in the way of one of these bolts. So just please keep that in mind. If you do have frame sliders on, be careful when you're removing this bottom bolt. Maybe go turn by turn, make sure you're not rounding it off or cross-threading it when you're tightening it. I'm gonna take my time here, and once I get it loose enough, I can actually just use my hand and remove it. So we have one bolt back here. We have another one up here. These are 4mm heads. We're gonna use a T-handle, a hex key T-handle. That's removed. And now we can move to the back side of this signal shroud, and there are Phillips rivets. Those are the plastic Phillips head bolts that spread out and expand when you tighten them in. They're kind of a pain in the butt to work with sometimes. So please just, with ease, there's 2 of them. Perfect. Now the signal cover comes off, giving us access to 2 electrical connectors on the left side. On the right side, there will only be 1 electrical connector. The second one on the left side is actually going to the O2 sensor. We're going to focus on this upper connector here. It does have 3 wires going into it, and Yamaha has actually conveniently taped this to the wire bundle, so it's an easy way to differentiate. We're going to take a small tool. We have a small pick here. It makes it easier to just disconnect this electrical connector. And lift up on this tab gently and pull it apart. Now, in order to remove these signals, it's important to note that there is a metal bracket on the back of the signal. What I'm going to do is actually push forward on it, pushing it through the actual signal shroud, and that gives us access to see exactly what's going on back here. You can lift up on this rubber sleeve, and I'm gonna remove this and then actually do it on camera so you can see everything that's going on. Once you have that metal bracket off of the actual signal, you can pull the entire wire bundle and connection through. But what's happening behind scenes is exactly like this. You have this metal plate that locks in and keeps it form fitted. So you'll just peel one of the rubber tabs back, or both of them if you'd like, and slide the bracket out of the way. This gives you the ability to really mess around with this, deform it in order to pull it through the signal shroud. Now we are going to reuse some of this hardware. There is a inner gasket and an outer one, an outer rubber boot, I should say, or a grommet, that just peels right off. So we're going to remove that from the actual signal and reinstall it on the signal shroud. Toss our signals to the side. And you can see there's a flat side and then the other side is ridged. And it has a small channel in here that sits on the signal well. So we're going to go ahead and just make sure that's sitting nice and flush. Boom. That provides a nice tight fit, and we won't have to worry about the pieces sliding around. So now if you've gone ahead and you've purchased our LED front pod turn signal bundle for this bike, like I mentioned earlier, you will be provided with some adapter plates. And there's 6 components in these. There's 2 ridged plates, 2 spacers, and then 2 smaller ridged plates. What we're going to do is actually take the ridged ones, toss the spacers to the side, or the washers to the side, and we're going to place one of these on the outside, facing outward, and then we'll take the opposite one, the smaller one, and we'll place it on the inside, facing inward. So that little lip is going to sit perfectly in the signal well. The outer one will sit on the outside, and then the signal will feed through, the signal stud will feed through and clamp down on both, providing a nice tight fit. If you want, you can try and use these smaller plastic washers, the flat washers that are included in this kit on the back side. On these newer Yamahas, I really, me personally, don't care to do that because some of these signal shrouds are very small. And if you clamp down hard enough, it can bend and come right through. So just something to keep in mind. The choice is ultimately yours. The way I'm demonstrating is the way I prefer to do it. And it makes our customer services team lives a little bit easier if we know exactly how it was installed if an issue arises. So I'm going to take off the threaded nut and the crush washer on the signals. These are our BL6 turn signals. The remaining washer will remain on the signal. What I'm going to do is take the larger of the ridged washers, feed the signal connectors through, have it sit flush as possible. And these signals are side specific, branded on the back. Make sure our logo is reading correctly, not upside down. Place this on the back. Then we're going to feed the connectors through. Take the smaller one, follow the same process, except this way it'll be facing inward, not outward. Once we have it in a place where we like, you can then take the crush washer and the locking nut and feed them through one by one. All right, I'm gonna hop on over to this side just so I could see where my hands are, what's going on. And I can feel everything is seated properly. I can actually begin threading the signal onto the nut. And I will mention on the MT-07, this installation process is much easier. And it's because the signal shroud actually comes off of the bike with ease. There's only 2 bolts. leave that there for now. You can see it is kind of secure, but if I move it too much, it'll just fall apart. But now I can see that is exactly how I want it seated. I'm happy with that, so we can go ahead and tighten down the locking nut on the back. Once we go ahead and do that, you can see we have bullet connectors and an insulated connector on the bike. That is where the provided harness converters that we include in our front pod turn signal bundle will be connected. And you can see here, there are 2 wires on the signal, there's 3 wires on the converter. If you want to use the 3rd wire and obtain a running light function with this harness converter, you will need to purchase our running mate. That takes the 2 wire connection from the signals and turns it into a 3 wire connection on the harness converter, giving you a running light function. Being that I'm not using the running mates on this particular installation, we will go ahead and connect these as we should. I'm going to take the yellow wire, which is the positive, and connect it to the brown wire on our harness converters. I'm gonna push in, make sure you feel that snap, that click. And then we're gonna take the black, connect it to the red. Again, feel the snap, slide the rubber sleeves over the terminals, and this blue one will just remain. We can curve it inwards. We're gonna tape these connections up individually, but before I do that, I do wanna go ahead and test this connection before I finalize everything, tighten the signal down, and tape these bullet connectors. So let's go ahead and turn it on. As you can see, no running light function, but if I turn the signal on, it does signal. So I'm happy, I know the connection works, I'm satisfied with that. And again, if you wanna have a running light function, we do have a product for that. That is not included by default, so please, please, please understand what you're purchasing. Let's go ahead and grab some electrical tape and tape these connections up. And now this process of connecting the wires will be the same if you are using our standard flush mounts for Yamaha as well. Obviously the mounting method is slightly different because there is no need for an adapter plate, but the connection is exactly the same. Yellow to brown, black to red, tape off blue and don't worry about it, and you'll be all good to go. Let's make sure these rubber sleeves are slid over fully. This helps isolate the electrical connections so they can't become bridged and cause a short. You definitely don't want to deal with that. And the electrical tape just provides some added security to make sure those rubber sleeves don't vibrate loose. Once I'm happy with one, I'm going to tape them together. Pretty happy with that look. And then I'm going to take a small piece of tape and actually tape this blue one upside down as I mentioned. I'm going to curve it inwards and just tape it to the wires. This helps isolate it. You don't have to, if you want to, you can cut it off. It'll be the same effect. You'll just have one less bullet connector if you want to upgrade later on. Now we know this is all good, we can go ahead and route the wires, tighten the signal down, and reinstall this signal cover. Make some final adjustments, make sure you're happy with that. And voila, we'll be all good to go. We're gonna reinstall this signal shroud cover. Always hand thread the bolts when you first start off to make sure you are not cross-threading. And all I can say for the back Phillips rivets is good luck. Just kidding. You'll see that when you pull them out, they're either like this, and one is protruding, or in the off case that they just separate, you have a Phillips plastic threaded bolt and then this rivet expanding fastener. This sits in the signal well, and then you can thread that back in. They can be a little finicky to work with, and if these teeth do not align perfectly, they will spread and you'll never get a tight fit. But as you can see, that one went in perfectly fine, as did the bottom one. And now we can go ahead and repeat this step to the other side. I will not be doing that in order to save time on this video and get you guys on the road. But this installation process will be the exact same on the opposite side of the bike. With this installation now complete, you can see that our TST LED front pod turn signals bring a level of elegance and sleekness to the front of this MT-09 that wouldn't otherwise be seen with Yamaha's front turn signals. Fully functional, extremely bright, and as you saw with our front pod turn signal bundle, completely plug and play. So be sure to stop by our website, tstindustries.com. Be sure to read the product pages in full. I cannot stress that enough, I beg you. We have viewers all over the world, and we are here in North America in the United States. So our electrical connections, our installation methods, everything we develop and verify can only be done in-house. So if you are outside of this region, please know what you're purchasing, read what we have to offer, and make sure you're spending your money on the things you want and not the things we force you to buy. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comment field below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and turn that notification bell on. And be sure to stop by our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all username TST Industries. Link is in the description to visit our website if you want to check these out or any other products we may have for this bike or any other bike that may be sitting in your garage. We're going to turn these signals on one last time, give you a final sneak peek before I go out for a ride. This has been Mark from TST Industries. Catch you guys next time.